Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of Scandal. I'm a little under the weather, but I just have to do this review because oh my God, whoa, I was not seeing that ending coming. Off the top of the episode, we see Jake and he's talking to somebody. We don't know who he's talking to. And it's like this dark scene, and he's just like speaking, and he's talking about having no family and how it's easier when you don't have a family. That way, if you join an organization like B613, you can you can be sculpted and molded into who they want you to be. And you can just see he's just like disconnected, like he's just talking and it's monotone and he's like no emotion in him. And you're like, is this Jake before? Is this Jake now that he's in B613, the head that as command? Like you just don't know. And by the end of this episode, you just realize this conversation that he's having ultimately is about something that he's going to have to do, which I'm still shocked about. This episode, of course, was mostly about the presidential debate and the unraveling of Sally Langston. I mean, this woman, and rightfully so, she did kill somebody. So, she shouldn't be all easygoing and not having any kind of ramifications for her actions. So I like that the show is playing out the fact that, she is going a little bit nutty. But, it's all about the sins that she's done and that, God won't forgive her and she needs to confess. And they try to bring in the reverend and just to be able to talk to her and help her prep for this debate. And by the end of that conversation, she confesses to him. And of course, Leo's going crazy because he's trying to keep his horse in the race. He's trying not to let this all blow up in his face. And if this does blow up, I mean, it means Cyrus is going down, Melly is going down. Like there are a lot of people that are going down. So this obviously plays into how Olivia finds out. And the fact that David Rosen is in on this, obviously this means Abby's concerned. So there are a lot of people at stake in all of this. And one of the things that was annoying me, with this storyline with James especially is that, he's all talk and he has no follow through. So, the fact that he was Publius and he's going forward with all this, it's sort of like, is he really going to go forward with this? Is he really going to take down his husband? Like, you just don't really think it's going to happen. So, of course, there were a lot of interesting things that happened in this episode with Cyrus finding out that his picture frame was wired and, that Olivia found out. And how did Olivia find out? She found out because David Rosen went to her. And so it's like all these people now know the truth. And of course, Olivia goes to see Cyrus, and Cyrus confesses because he can't lie. And of course, Olivia's upset because she promised Fitz a clean campaign, or at least what they wanted to be a clean campaign, and this just means more lies on top of more lies, and they're just trying to be honest with one another, which is just never gonna happen with these guys. And when she has that moment in Cyrus's office is when she's like laughing hysterically, and he's like, "What's so funny?" And it's not funny because Sally killed her husband, but all three of them, Reston, Sally, and Fitz, have all murdered somebody, which is just so disheartening to know that these are the people that are in power. These are the people that are running this country and or trying to run this country, and they're all bad people. You know what I mean? And so it's just like when Olivia goes to Fitz. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but when Olivia goes to Fitz in the office and says, "This is the stuff that happens behind the curtain," it's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like you don't want to see what happens behind the curtain because it's not pretty, it's not glamorous, it's the ugly, dirty stuff, and it's the lying, it's the cheating, it's the killing, it's the covering up of things and the things that people do to keep people in power, and it's just crazy. And so of course, Fitz finding out that this actually went down. And, Olivia, I'm like watching this episode, I'm going, what? Olivia is asking him to throw the debate. And of course, she's doing it because the bigger picture is that if he doesn't, of course, Cyrus will go down, his wife will go down, and it's just nobody will have faith in the government. Like, it's just crazy. And of course, when Cyrus goes on that rant with Jake, and he's basically telling him, if you don't kill if you don't kill Sally Langston, I mean seriously, Cyrus walks up to Jake and says, "I need you to kill Sally Langston." I'm like, what is happening? happening on this show? And of course, he's trying to explain that if Sally doesn't go down, all these things are going to happen. And, the key word in this back half of these episodes in Scandal is the Republic. Like, they've said this word in every single episode. So it's like anytime you hear the word Republic, take a drink. But, it's like, how much do you love the Republic? Like, what are you going to do for the Republic? And of course, Cyrus throws it in his rant to Jake, saying that the people, will be heartened by the government, that it was taxpayers' dollars that they used to cover up this murder, and people will lose faith and all this. And it's just sort of like, what is the big picture that, that this is all going to mean if we don't take out Sally Langston? So it's just like crazy. And so, of course, Quinn now is working for Acme, what is it, Acme Paper or whatever the fake name is for the for P613, and she's answering phones and acting as though she's like the receptionist because Jake is trying to have her go through like a trial period or whatever. It's just all so ridiculous. And even Charlie's like, we actually sell paper here. So she goes on a rant saying how come nobody else has had to pay their dues before they're approved to go out and start killing people. And she gives him this whole conversation like, if you think that, if you're doing this because you want to protect me from Olivia and all this, and then she starts going on this rant about if you think that you're going to be in with her. And it's just another eye-opener for Jake because let's face it, guys. I want Olivia to be happy, and she's just not. All the men in her life suck, okay? And it's like, who is the least suckiest out of all of them? And right now, that would be Jake. But they're in a fake relationship because she's so in love with Fitz, and we get it. Like, they wanted to be together forever, but they're just not right for each other, at least not now. And, when Jake or Olivia shows up at Jake's house and she's all, with food, and he's like, what are you doing here? You haven't been here. It's like, I don't think she's been there since she found all the cameras in his house. But that's a whole other discussion. So she has this whole moment with him where he's all like, I'm going to get you drunk. And can I just say, I think Olivia has a serious drinking problem. She is guzzling this wine like it's beer, and she needs to stop. Somebody needs to put her into some rehab because she's in trouble. But Jake basically says, I'm going to get you drunk and I'm going to take advantage of you. And then she's like, no, you're not. And obviously she's saying, because you're such a good guy, you wouldn't do that. And then she guzzles down this glass of wine and she looks at him. She's like, take advantage of me. And of course they start kissing, which was actually kind of nice. And then, whatever else happens. But then by the end of the episode, he comes over to her place with some food, and she's all sad faced, and he's like, what? And of course, she's ultimately going to choose Fitz. Over the back and forth. Shonda, I'm over the back and forth. Let her be with somebody, but let it play out. So, of course, Jake gets that, slap upside of the head that he needs, and he leaves. He says, nope, you're just doing your job, and I need to go do mine. And so, boom, he goes and he tells Quinn he has an assignment for her. She breaks into Pope and Associates and gets this file that they had on Daniel Douglas, who is Sally Langston's husband. And so they know all the information. They know who the informant is, which is James. They know who the reporter was. They know that David Rosen's involved. Like, so they know all these, and they know the person from the NSA who leaked this stuff to David in the first place. So they've got all these people. They know all the intel on them. And of course, at the end of the episode, it's like, what? So, of course, we have Cyrus, who realizes that he's been spied on. He goes home. He sees James. They have this, moment where he's like, I did this. Do whatever you need to do. Just know that I love you. I love you more than anything. I love you more than anything. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh no, does this mean here comes the gunshots? Like, what is happening? Is he going to smother James? Like, what is he going to do? And, they have this moment where James obviously feels so bad. He feels guilty, and he's just like, I was so angry with you. And obviously he was angry because he pimped him out. He pimped him out to Daniel Douglas in the first place. And they had sex, and that is the whole reason why Sally ended up killing her husband in the first place. So, of course, you see the text message that James gets, which is obviously the address to where they're all supposed to meet. So as they're meeting, they go for the meet. you hear the voiceover of Jake, like he was talking at the very beginning of the episode, and you're hearing him discuss, like, just continuing his discussion that he's having with whoever it is that we don't know. And all of a sudden they realize, once James meets up with David, David still wants to go forward with all the information. He says, he lets things slide in the past and he doesn't want to do it again. And he's like, well, okay, I thought you were going to be reluctant to have this meeting called. And then David's like, I thought you called the meeting. And then we see these footsteps. Gunshot goes off. Boom, down goes the reporter. Boom, down goes the NSA. And you turn around and it's Jake. Oh my God. What? So then you see another gunshot goes off, and you get the title card for Scandal. Oh my God. Is James done? Is David done? Who knows? We're going to have to wait till next week to find out. I was not expecting that ending, guys. Holy schmoly. Just crazy. I mean, even during the presidential debate, Olivia says to Fitz, throw the election or throw the debate. And Sally is just like loopy, and she's drinking all this water, and she looks like she's about to confess. And then all of a sudden, you see Tom go into B613 Command's office, and he's telling him, look, if you get a clear shot, if it looks like Sally's about to go off the rails, you take it. You take her out. And I'm like, what? What? We're going to assassinate Sally in the middle of the debate? Oh my God. This show sometimes is just like, what? Crazy, okay? Crazy. So that was everything that went down in this episode. I mean, we didn't really have much of Huck. There was no Harrison sightings in this episode. There was no Mama Pope. We got a little Papa Pope cussing out Leo in the limo, basically saying, listen, if you fail with Sally, you're fired. And, he had a nice little mini rant in the car, but we didn't really get much more of Papa Pope in this episode. We had no talk about Mama Pope in this episode. We had a lot of Olivia being wearing lots of big baggy coats and hiding behind decorative things in offices, holding wine bottles and food in front of her stomach. Poor thing. But yeah, oh my goodness. It wasn't like a super speedy, fast episode. There was a lot of talking going on. There was a lot of, interesting stuff. Just, again, showing how much people behind the scenes have to do to try to get these people either elected or to stay in power. It's just crazy. And if this is real, keep me far away from politics, okay? There is just way too much drama. There is way too much cover-ups. There is just way too much scandal. So I don't think I left anything out. I did like the scene with David and Abby in the bed, when, of course, David is making light of the fact that, he's again in another scary situation that could get him into some trouble. And Abby reacts and he's like, oh, you're terrified. And she's just like, don't make fun of me. Like, because she is in love with David. And I enjoy the two of them together. So, by the end of the episode, when all that goes down, it's just like, oh, and no. Can't wait to see what happens next week, guys. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Did you enjoy it? I did like all the Jake stuff. Again, he is really starting to feel the weight of being command. And I like that because, he thought he could just walk into these shoes and it was all going to be easy peasy. But, clearly he has got to make some seriously tough decisions. And obviously he has to then go out and execute some of it on his own. So it is no wonder why Olivia's dad is the way he is, because if this is just the tip of it, I don't even want to know. Even when he tells Cyrus, he's like, you're a mouse just spinning in the wheel, and you think if you run faster, you're going to get this cheese, but you don't even know the half of what is really going on in the world. And it's just like, that is just it. Like, his job now demands so much, and it's going to be crazy. And even in that moment when he's talking to Olivia at his house, and she wants to just sort of make light of everything and doesn't want to talk about anything serious, and he starts talking about paper, blah, 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 and then he just looks at her and he's like, the things I have to do when I walk into that office, he's like, let's just run away, let's run away together. And, you can just tell that it's already starting to chip away at him, and he's just started this job. He's like, come stand in the sun with me, and it's like, you ain't getting nothing but shade, buddy, nothing but shade from Olivia. She's just throwing shade on you in every direction. Okay, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you next week. Bye.